Here in this channel, I've been talking about this book, this elusive book that I've been writing, and I haven't really told you guys much since like last year when I announced that I was writing a book. So I signed to a publisher, I've been writing it, it's been completely different from anything else that I've done. Now this book is here and it's available for pre-order and it drops May 28th. The name of the book is How to Thrive in the Games Industry, and in this video, I'd like to tell you all about why this book needed to exist in my mind, in the world, and why you might be interested in picking it up or pre-ordering right now, because there's so much, I think there's so much knowledge in this book. I put so much of myself in this book that it might be interesting to you. So without further ado, let's talk about how to thrive in the games industry. Let's do it. All right, welcome to another video, and I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you guys are here every single week with me. Thanks a lot for the support. Highly appreciate it. Don't forget, if you like this content, subscribe, like, and comment, specifically because about this book, I'm going to put over the next 3 months, as the rollout starts to happen, I'm going to make a video at least once a month talking about one of the chapters of the book. And this video is mostly about talking about the introduction of the book and why I made this and some of the chapters that exist in the book. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Cooper, because Jonathan Cooper wrote this book called Game Anim, and Game Anim is a brilliant book about animation, and you guys should definitely check it out. Link down below. 100% is amazing. And I remember Jonathan and I had a chat in Scotland when I was still living in Scotland, and Jonathan doesn't know that I'm going to share this, but we had a chat, really lovely dude, and became a really good friend. And I picked his brain about how was it to write a book, to have it out there, to have us being successful. So after speaking with Jonathan, I kind of started thinking about what should I write about, and I realized that all these years that I've been in the industry, these 20 plus years, I've been keeping certain notes and certain books and certain things that I kind of keep to myself, that I don't really share with anybody. And those things are things that kind of keep me grounded, things that basically keep me like almost like a compass through the industry on how to actually thrive and direct myself. And a few nuggets here and there I've shared here in this channel about some of the things that perhaps you should do in order to become a successful animator and stuff. But the more I looked at it, the more I spoke with my wife about it and stuff, the more I was like, maybe if I share this knowledge with others, then all of a sudden it becomes this thing that other people can use in their own career as well. And it's bigger than the YouTube channel. It goes way more in depth than the YouTube channel. And there's only so much you can say in these 10, 20-minute videos that I make. So what if we actually were to break it down properly and have a sequence of events that basically give you a really good path of going about this industry? To me, it's very important for people to know what they get themselves into. And I know for a fact that if I were to start over again, even though the industry has changed so much, I'd love to know a lot more about what's expected of a game developer in different stages of their career. And this is what made way for How to Thrive in the Games Industry, the long game. So here is the book. You can find it here in Routledge. You can also find it on Amazon, and you can also find it on Taylor and Francis group. So there's a bunch of different places, but obviously most people are gonna get it from Amazon. And then we have the different chapters that we actually go through. And this is, I think, is the most interesting bit. And once again, it's hard to kind of put it in words because these videos are short on how in-depth these chapters are. But they go really deep, and the book is nearly 300 pages long. And I try to actually kind of give you as much details as possible. Now, it starts here with chapter 1, which is my journey through games, just so I introduce myself. And then I basically go and talk about the games industry today and how things have changed from before, because people romanticize things a lot. And nowadays we look back into the industry and then we say, oh man, things were so much better in the early 2000s, but have they been better? Are they better? I don't know about that. So I go into that and I kind of try to compare the two. We also talk about studio types, which is this idea of talking about indies and double A's and triple A's and how they are different to different people depending on where you are in the world, depending on what kind of industry you're talking about, depending on what the budget of the game is and stuff. And then we talk about a day in game development. This is for anybody that is outside of the industry right now, that is trying to get an understanding about the industry right now, just to give them a fly on the wall kind of vision about what happens behind the scenes in games as you kind of like develop these things. And then we start with the actual meat and bones of the book, which is crafting your career path. And this is where I start kind of like laying down the foundation of how you should start in this industry, how some of the things that even if you experience, maybe you haven't set yet, that maybe you should be able to set in order for you to be successful or as successful as possible. And this is when we start talking about the long game, right? That the games industry is. We also talk about understanding the game development cycle. This is very important because, and this might be one of the chapters that I talk about in a future video, because people think about game development a lot of the time, even the experienced people, it's much shorter than it is, but it takes a long time, and it goes through, the cycles have microcycles within them, and then you have to understand exactly how it works in order for you to see the big picture of how a game is made. And unless you go through those cycles a few times, you don't really see like the constant connections between those things. And it really takes you going through multiple studios with, I'm thankful that I have, for you to see those things kind of forming up and like the parallels between them. And then we have surviving crunch and burnout, really important one, because there's a lot of types of crunch and a lot of types of burnout. And the more I wrote and the more I looked through my notes, the more I realized that I've been through all of them, or most of them, I would say. And it goes really deep. We think about crunch as something superficial, something that it just happens, but kind of creeps up on you. And maybe this is another one that I'll talk here in the channel about, but it's actually is very eye-opening. And then staying relevant is an important one. And I think everybody is in top of people's minds nowadays, especially as the internet expands, especially as influencers become a thing, especially as AI becomes a thing, especially as, the careers change and stuff. Staying relevant is an important topic, and I go very much in depth on this. And just so you guys know, this is going to be not just my perspective. I interviewed about 4 or 5 people in this book, and all of them have equally experienced than me or more experienced than me in order to get their view on certain subjects that I'm talking about. So we can have a different perspective than mine. So it's not just me telling you what I think, but also they actually come with their views. Then you will see in the end, which was not me asking anyways, we end up connecting in a lot of the things, which then reinforces this idea that most people in this industry go through the same kind of things earlier or later, and these things repeat themselves. They go around in circles, and this is why I think then this book, fingers crossed, becomes successful or becomes useful for people out there that basically want to avoid going through these circles, because it means that you can see things more like from a top-down perspective. I think is going to become very useful. At least that's what I hope. So, and then we'll go into chapter 9, indie development. This is something that I'm really passionate about right now, because obviously I have Proxima, my game studio, but I have been working with other indies before Proxima, and I think that there's a lot of things that we can talk about here that basically allow you to understand how everybody is enamored by the indie development right now, but it's hard. And we also talk about the difficult side of the business side of indies, which then takes us into the business side, which once again I interview somebody else called Tim, which is basically somebody that has super business savvy and helps studios around the world right now. And we talk about understanding how important it is for you as a game developer, especially early on, especially as you become more experienced, for you to understand the business side of things, because if you do, it makes you understand a lot of the pitfalls of the industry right now. And some of the things that you cannot really understand make sense if you follow the money. It's really interesting, especially in games development. And then chapter 11 is about building a personal brand. And I think this is, once again, very important. Another thing that is on top of people's minds right now: how can I actually promote myself? How can I actually get myself out there? Should I be getting myself out there if I don't feel like it? Should I just be like, warming up my seat and working away 9 to 5 as usual? How do I pivot? All of those things I covered here. And here I interview Pierrick Picot, which is a good friend of mine and a fellow YouTuber, to kind of have his take on building a personal brand, because he has done it so beautifully. So we actually interview him and take his thoughts here as well to make sure that they align and, you know, we kind of echoing of each other's message. Then we'll go into advanced career strategies. This is moving up the ladder. This involves much more of the middle level to the senior level, to the directors, to the people that actually want to make something of their career, that maybe feel a little stale and they want to know exactly where to go next. And lastly is the studio closures and industry downsizing, which is something that, once again, this is the thing that people think the most nowadays. And I do think that is incredibly important. The book wouldn't be as genuine if I didn't really talk about this and how you can actually navigate these troubling times, what's coming next. And I mentioned some of it here in the channel, but this once again goes in depth about where we've been and where we're going and where we are and how to navigate those waters in a way that makes sense, but also in a way that you can have fun and you don't feel burned out. And then the conclusion, which then talks a lot about, you know, being here for 20 plus years, you know, whatever time you've been around, and still having fun doing it, is something that I don't think people talk enough. I mentioned here in the channel here and there in some videos, but it cannot be understated how important or how precious it is for anybody out there that has been in the industry for a long time, that are still feeling it, that are still having fun, that are still positive, that are still teaching others or sharing their knowledge. Like, this institutionalized knowledge is something that people dismiss, but is something that is arguably more important than tutorials or just having experience in a specific field, because this is how we move forward as an industry. And if you don't have those champions that actually go like, this is amazing, we're not going to be able to survive anything. And this is basically what the chapter is about. And lastly, and this is the best part for me, is that as I've been writing the book, as I've been finalizing the book, I actually started thinking about who to send it to. I come up with a handful of people that I think that are brilliant, and then I send it over, and this is why you have the critics' reviews here. And the things that they've said is incredibly touching to me, and I'll forever be thankful to Fauzi, for example. He's a creative director at Ubisoft right now, and we work together at DICE. And really nice words. Jim Jagger, which is a guy that, you know, he's a director of directors, and 100% love his review. Sebastian Kalemba, right now, he is a game director, and he's a game director for the new Witcher 4, and he's doing such a brilliant job, and he gave me an amazing review. And then we have James Cunliffe, and James Cunliffe as well, he works right now for Valve. He was one of the animators that I actually looked up to when I was on my mid-levels. He moved over to the US, went to work on Valve, legendary dude, and he gave me a really amazing review. Once again, you know, go and read them, is really cool. And then we also have the vice president of production of Epic Games. We have John. We used to work at DICE as well together. And once again, amazing reviews. So I hope these things give you the confidence to know that this book has what it takes for hopefully give you a really successful career, and hopefully it becomes a little bit of a companion to you. You can pre-order right now, either directly on Routledge, or you can actually pre-order on Amazon. It will be released on May 28th, 2026. I'll be dropping 3 more videos on this book because I think that going through at least 3 of the 13 chapters and give you a glimpse of what I'm trying to say will hopefully make you understand on how these things connect or interconnect with each other, especially as you read the book later on. So yeah, go and pre-order it. I'll be incredibly thankful if you support me in this way, because this support then goes directly into helping me with anything else that I will do going forward. So please go ahead, pre-order your copy if you can. And to anybody that pre-orders a copy, and when you get your copy, if you send it over to me, I'll be more than happy to sign it for you and send it back to you. And I really hope, I really hope that this becomes something that you can take with you in your journey as you become a better game developer, a more experienced game developer, as you are stuck on, especially on those moments that it feels like everything is on fire. You just lost your job and you don't know what to do and what are the next steps. I kind of wish I had a book like this so I could actually kind of go back to and find out at least some of the way on how to actually kind of navigate these waters, and that I'm not alone in this feeling that I have right now. Okay, That's all I had to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until the next one, stay safe, stay well, peace. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you super enjoyed it, leave a super thanks. It's like leaving a little tip, and it directly supports the channel. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can continue to see my videos and get your weekly dose of betterness.